And I think to every pastor in that group, all of them would say, this has been the most difficult year in recent memory. For me, we're coming off the most difficult year since we planted the church. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. I would say the most important one being relationally. It is incredibly hard going months at a time without seeing our regular people. We via Zoom, of course, and online, you guys can see me and see us, but it's incredibly difficult because the nature of the church is highly relational. And, as human beings, we are connectional creatures, aren't we? This is who we are. We're made for connection. And for those who've come into worship after being gone for months at a time, and they've come back in, every single person that's come in for the first time into worship has said, I didn't realize what a difference it was being online versus being in person. The ability to connect when you're listening to songs and you're singing versus looking at a television screen. We live in a culture where normally when we look at a TV screen, we're just consumers. And so it's much more difficult to participate in worship when you're online. And so we're all coming off a season where we've had to do a lot of that. And so, one, I think God is merciful to us. I want you to hear that as your pastor, that God is full of mercy and full of grace towards us. He knows how difficult that's been. For those of you, for various reasons, who've had to remain online, there's mercy. Mercy from us, but also mercy from the Father in our worship. But it just makes me long as your pastor for all of us to be able to come back. In a second, I'm going to talk a little bit about COVID and protocols and some of our thoughts around that. But I just wanted to say that here on the front end. At the same time, I want you to know that there's some places in our church family where we're thriving right now. One of those you're going to hear about from Mike and Kirsten, small groups. Those groups, we have more people now involved in our DNA groups or small groups than ever before. That is exciting. And the silver lining in COVID has been this necessary need to find a place of connection. And the Wellspring material, that had been planned, but not with COVID in mind, but boy, for such a time.